just give me a minute.
Okay. What is your favorite instrument of yours, and do they all have names?
They don't all have names, and I have lots of favorites, but this is my favorite acoustic guitar. It is a Gibson SJ200. S stands for Southern, which I am. J for Jumbo, which it is. And this is what I play. I mean, I use this guitar in the studio. I use it live. It sounds great both places. My favorite current electric guitar is right over here. It's made by a guy named Ryan Gatto, and he's in the Carolinas. You can look it up, G-A-D-O-W, Gatto Guitars. It's like the best of both worlds. It's got, I like to call it my Tele Paul, which is, if you know anything about guitars, it's a cross between a Telecaster and a Les Paul. It's got a Telecaster neck pickup. It's got a Lindy Fralin humbucker. If I pull this knob, it makes it a single coil. And what you don't know, this guitar, see how this is narrow? This is a single coil pickup. This is a double, well, it's with double coil if you want to call it that, but it's actually wound in reverse of each other, which eliminates noise, and it's also very loud, and that's what I use for solos. My other favorite, I've got a G&L ASAT Classic. I've had it for a really long time. I got it from a guy named Will McFarland, who's a local guy around here. He played with Bonnie Raitt, and did some stuff, I think, with Jackson Brown, and a bunch of stuff here in Muscle Shoals. And it's one that I've passed on. It'll go to my kids for sure.
How has your music evolved since you first began playing music?
I don't know. You guys will have to tell me that. How has my music evolved? I think, you know, everything I listen to, good or bad, really affects me. Even if I don't like the song, I'll find something in it that kind of gets me. You know, there'll be something. So I mean, I think that I progressed just by listening to different types of music and different artists, and going out and seeing live music when I'm able to. And you know, I practiced a lot. I don't do that much anymore because I'm always working. I guess that's still practicing, but I think just like with anything, you got to give it time and dedication, and allow it to evolve on its own. I think that it went from extremely country with a hint of blues to extremely bluesy with a hint of country. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but that seems to be where I am today.
What aspect of making music excites you the most right now?
You know, I'm really infatuated with the recording process. How you can take an acoustic song and bring different ideas to it, and instead of just being an acoustic guitar, actually hearing different parts and creating it in the studio and spending time on it, you know. And it's real easy in today's time in studios, everybody has such a rush to do things, to go in and cut 10 songs in a day and just ship them out, you know. But I kind of like the old-fashioned way, going in and spending time, and maybe going in and spending a week or two on a couple songs instead of a day or two on 20 songs. So I think that's probably the most fun for me right now.
What aspect of making music discourages you the most?
You know, that's a really hard question to answer. It's a really tough business. You know, it's all good and fun, and I love it, but it's a tough business. It's hard to be accepted in the industry. You know, I mean, it's hard. You write a song, you write songs, you record songs, and then you try to get them on the radio. First, then you try to get them on an album or on someone else's album, and then you try to get it to the radio, and you have like a one, and you have 17 slots or less available to get your song in if you're a new artist. I mean, it's hard to break through. Just breaking down the barriers of the first, you know, getting those first hits out there, I think is the hardest thing. That's probably the most discouraging, but as long as I got 2 people out there listening, I'm going to keep doing it.
What's the most unusual place you've ever played a show?
Okay, the most unusual place, I guess. Well, I mean, I've played a lot of unusual places. People's backyards, pool parties, corners of bars next to the stairs. But I did the grand opening of the McDonald's in Sheffield, Alabama. I I'm not sure if it's called Mitchell Boulevard as you come into Sheffield on O'Neill Bridge or Jackson Highway at that point. But it was in the 80s, and I was in a band called J.J. Smith and Company, and we did the grand opening at the McDonald's, and we had an RV parked outside, and I mean a stage built right in front of it, so we walked out of the RV onto the stage. It was kind of country, to say the least, but that's probably one of the most unusual ones that stick out to me.
In what ways does the place where you live affect the music you create or your taste in music?
Wow. Well, the place where I live is Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and that's where the best music in the world comes from, first and foremost, so you got that to feed from. And then the people I'm around. You know, I write our situations and what we go through here. You know, I mean, I try to give it broad appeal, so where people in New Jersey or New York or Washington State or anywhere on the West Coast or even in Kenya, for that matter, can relate to what I go through. But I think just having the southern, just growing up, the southern way, the way we do it down south, I think the people around me have shaped, definitely helped shape how I sound.
As you create more music, do you find yourself getting more or less interested in seeking out and listening to new music made by other people, and why do you think that is?
Ask that question one more time. Let me grasp a hold of that.
As you create more music, do you find yourself getting more or less interested in seeking out and listening to new music made by other people, and why do you think that is?
You know, I don't know. The only thing the reason I for me, can think they would affect each other is just because of time. You know, it's like if you're creating and you're doing a project, then you may not have time to listen to outside music, or sometimes you maybe, I've been at work all day playing music for 8 hours in the studio. I played a 4-hour gig. I may want to turn the radio off and have silence, but I think you have to listen to other music in order to draw inspiration. So, as I've said before, I've really grown musically from everything I've listened to, good or bad, and I really like all genres of music. I have a huge variety, very eclectic taste in music. But I don't know that they directly affect each other.
Name a band or musician, past or present, who you flat out love and think more people should be listening to, and what's one of your all-time favorite recordings by that band?
Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin. I think they probably have gotten their due, but I think any person who's never listened to a Led Zeppelin record has totally missed out on rock and roll and for what it is. And I think two of my favorite, and again, I'm just off the top of my head because I love so much, but Going to California and Moby Dick are two of my favorite Zeppelin recordings. What's
the saddest song you've ever heard?
The saddest song I've ever heard? Wow. You know, that's tough. I don't know that I can answer that. Because there are a lot of sad songs out there. I would have to reflect on that one for a minute. That's a great question. I don't have an answer.
Do you get nervous before a performance?
No, I don't. I really don't. I get anxious. I get adrenaline. It's almost like a drug in a way, right? 5 minutes before the show, you kind of get a little charged. And it doesn't matter how bad I feel, unless I'm physically unable to perform, I feel great as long as the crowd is into it, as long as the show is going well. It can get me through anything. So I feel charged. What was the question?
Do you get nervous?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't get nervous, I get charged. I also get dumbfounded sometimes and totally go off in space, but no, I don't get nervous before shows.
Okay, last question. How do you write your lyrics? Does the lyrics come first, or does the music come first?
There are so many ways, the old saying, there's 100 ways to skin a cat. I mean, most of the time, I would say that I hum out a melody and map out at least the structure of the song, verse, chorus, whatever it's going to be for that particular song. And then, after I kind of hum out what the melody would be, like Unbroken Ground would have been, Of course, just all the syllables, and okay, and how many syllables is it going to take, which I don't really break it down like that, but you, in essence, that was what it is. Let me tell you now, you know. So I usually do melody and structure first, and then let the lyrics follow. But sometimes I'll have an idea for a song, and I'll write lyrics out, and then go put music to it later. Sometimes it all comes at once, very rarely, but I've had it happen twice, where I actually just sat down and wrote a song as I played it, kind of live, in 3 minutes or whatever, as they say. I guess that's the best answer I've got.